and welcome to the November episode of Corner Office. I'm Ryan Maliar, hosting the show, and of course I'm here with the Honorable Mayor Arthur Vigeant. How's it going, Mayor?
Fantastic. Just for a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer. Hopefully we'll do a nice big send-off episode in December. Sound
We'll do
good?
whatever you want to do.
Okay, great. Hey, speaking of send-offs, and all these people are giving you wonderful acclamations as you're wrapping up your time as mayor, and the MEDC had a wonderful celebration, and they gave a nice honor to you that evening.
Yeah, no, it was a special night. It really was, and what a surprise. But it was really good. They know I don't like these big accolades, but that was kind of perfect. And looking forward to hanging my clock up over my shop up in.
You weren't sure what it was at first.
I thought they were bringing me a pizza.
It looked like a pizza box, but it's really a beautiful clock.
It's fantastic. It's something that's always going to be with you and someone always needs. So I can't thank them enough, but it's been so many people that have helped me over the years. It's been a big effort from a lot of people. I just happen to be sitting on the 4th floor, but we got a lot of good people doing a lot of good things.
Speaking of good people doing good things, you just mentioned that there was a beautiful bench that was just installed at the city beach in honor of someone who's been doing so much for Marlborough for the years, and you ran out of awards and accolades to give this person. Who are we talking about?
It wasn't even me. I mean, over the years, Bob Case. He's worked with every administration, every Mayor's Charity Ball, and every evening of giving, and really done so much for the city. Every mayor's tried to do something to recognize him, and I was looking for something a little bit different. So I called 5 or 6 of his friends, and we put together a couple dollars, bought this beautiful bench, and put a nice plaque on it. We dedicated it to him, donated it to the city. So it's just a little recognition for all he's done for the city of Marlborough. So, I wanted to make sure I left and did something a little bit different for him.
And well-deserved. He's done so many wonderful things. Speaking of wonderful things that we have going on, we've got Restaurant Week coming up November 13th through the 19th. How does Restaurant Week work here in the city?
Yeah, I mean, if you go on the MEDC website, this year we have a lot more restaurants participating. They'll put together a special menu with a special price, and it's kind of get the people out there to maybe try a different restaurant and maybe try something a little bit new. And the restaurants are just jumped in. They're really excited about it. Lindsay and the MEDC have done this now for a couple of years, and it's just something a little bit different. You hear about the one on Shrewsbury Street all the time. A lot of restaurants will compete with them anytime.
Well, there's so many different ethnicities of restaurants as well, and different flavors to try. So what's cool about a Restaurant Week is people will pick like the best items from their menu, the most popular. So if you've never tried a particular type of flavor before, you know that they're putting out their best work that week for you to give it a try.
And you go into these places. I go in Double T's, I order the same thing. I go into Welly's, I order the same thing. I go to Kennedy's, I order. It's just, when you go in the restaurant, you always seem to order your comfort zone.
Habit, yes.
Your comfort zone. So.
Right. How about the Veterans Day Parade? That's going to be Saturday, November 11th. What usually happens during that parade?
Well, it's not our parade. It's the Veterans Council's parade.
Okay.
But we are invited every year to participate. So, but for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, they really run the parades. Obviously, we have some construction on Main Street, so we have to be a little careful. But it's just a day to honor all our veterans, as opposed to the spring with Memorial Day. But this is to honor all our veterans and say thank you for serving and protecting us and allowing us to have the country we have today.
And it really is a beautiful ceremony. It's not too long,
no.
But they do it right in front of the Walker Building at the Doughboy Monument, and I filmed it last year, and really some really great heartfelt speeches happen every year, and something great to bring the family to and share a little history and support for these wonderful men and women.
No, and now there's so many men and women that are still participating in our military, and sometimes when things are quieter, it's not real quiet right now, but when things are a little quieter, they almost got a little forgotten about, and they should never be forgotten. We should always be thanking them for their service.
Well, the city does a fantastic job with the signage all throughout the city.
Yeah, we started that a few years ago with the banners for all our veterans.
Is that year round, or is that?
That was my round. It was brought to my attention by the MEDC and one of our DPW workers that thought it was a good idea. They saw it somewhere else, so we looked into it a little bit and kicked it off. And now we do the KIAs and MIAs in as close to City Hall as we can. It's expanded quite a bit over the years, but the banners are up all over the place. We go up Lincoln Street, we go up West Main Street, and you know, we just keep expanding what we have there, and it's just a little honor for those that did serve. And again, the applications are on the website. I think they're probably all done for this year, but for next year, again, we're just getting a name down. It doesn't cost the families anything.
It's always so nice seeing all the work that goes into beautifying the city and keeping it looking good, not just for parades, but year-round. Yeah. And we have the Mural Project, which, did it just wrap up? Is it?
No, it hasn't wrapped up yet, but it's getting close.
Okay.
So, you know, we've talked about murals for a number of years. I went through it a couple times on the city council. And I think they're a wonderful thing. The problem is you can't control the content. So people could put up just about any crazy thing, and with people crazy on the left and crazy on the right, you never know what they're going to put up. There's no common sense that needs to go into it. In addition to that, when it's, you know, tagged or people mess with it, who's going to maintain it?
Right.
So after going back and forth, and we've kind of shot it down in the city a couple of times because of those reasons, I came up with the idea, if we did it, do we fall into those? Can we control the content?
Right.
So I was told I could. I came up with this mural idea. That wall has always irritated me because it always looks so poorly out on Maple Street. So we came up with the idea, put it out there, did an RFP, ended up getting some artists that responded. They gave us some ideas of what they would like to do, and she's doing a fantastic job out there. Putting it all together. We had a day where residents could come and do some painting, and they basically do these big sheets, and you can't even tell what you're painting when you're painting it, but she pieces it all together and fills in the blanks, and
wow,
it's going to be beautiful out there. You can drive down Maple Street right across from the dollar store and kind of see how it's fitting into place now.
So who will maintain it then?
Well, we'll probably call her back if something happens.
To do the touch-ups.
You know, residents, you know, people that do get into the tagging and everything, they're a little more respectful of when you have a mural. So we're hoping that we can get a lot of good use out of it, and people, you know, get to view it. So we're hoping to wrap that up in the next couple of weeks.
Love it. Speaking of something that's going to get a lot of use, I've seen a beautiful aerial video shot of what is happening on Lake Williams, of all these floating dock pieces. And of course, people either love it or hate it. I think it's great. What do you think about it?
So I tried to run with this probably 10 years ago now, and was told, no, we can't touch the lake, and, you know, TEP is not going to approve it, can't do this. Well, somewhere along the way, they got a little more lenient with their rules. We don't use Lake Williams anymore for drinking water. We get all our water from the MWRA now. So we did get approval. I asked the council for some money to do the boardwalk. And we came up with this alternative. They have one in Franklin. We went down and take a look at that one. And it's going to be a full boardwalk on the highway side of the road, and go on to the walking path that we already have in existence. It'll be cleaned up and widened. But, you know, just to, we have a lot of Facebook freaks out there that, you know, have a lot of opinions, but very few facts. So
let's talk about a few facts.
Yeah.
So is there any possibility that that lake would be used for drinking water in the future?
If we were to decide to use that drinking water again, we would have to first retrofit the water treatment plant. That would take a couple of years to do before we would use it. MWRA has an excess amount of water. They're trying to get more and more communities on board. I can't imagine there's going to be a time where we're not going to be using their water. Water is very, very difficult to balance. It just, prior Mayor Stevens put, I believe it was $6 million into the treatment plant, got the whole thing done. I was elected. As soon as the thing was done, they came to me and said, we have another issue, it's another $8 million. And it's like, I'm not spending the money. Can we get all our water from Boston? We found out that we could. It's not any more expensive. In fact, we didn't go up on our rates again this year, which is unusual, but we don't have to worry about the treatment plant and balancing it and everything else. There's new chemicals that are coming into, we have PFAS now that obviously is affecting a lot of communities. We don't have to worry about that. All this is dealt with the MWRA. They have great water. I'm glad we made the decision we did. But there's probably no chance we're going to be using that for drinking water again.
There you go. And then people are also concerned, some people are like, well, why can't we go fishing? And why can't we take our dogs?
If I can tell you that if I was here another 2 years, we'd be fishing down there. We'd be using kayaks and rowboats and canoes. I don't want to see any motors down there, but
no, it's too small.
We'd love to see some activity down there, figure out where we can put a launching area. I think we're going to see people fishing out there before you know it.
Just because it's the rule right now does not necessarily mean that's the way it's going to be forever. This is a brand new project. It's still getting the grounding.
And I'm glad we're getting this part done.
Yeah.
And what they were waiting for now is more materials to continue looping around the rest of the lake. So people do not have to jump from land to where the dock is now.
No.
They don't have to swim that way.
It'll be connected when it's ready.
It'll be connected. It's just, they're keeping it away from the land so people aren't out there running around and causing issues. So
right.
Once it's tied in, it'll be open for everybody.
Now, the city just received over $3 million in housing works infrastructure in the form of a grant to complete Lincoln Street. Explain that to me.
So I believe this is the 5th MassWorks grant that I've been fortunate enough to receive from the state. And it started with Cimarron Drive. We received some for Lincoln Street in the past, and East Main Street and Main Street. And we've been very, very fortunate to work with, Deval Patrick and then Charlie Baker and Karen Polito, and now with Maury Healy and Kim Driscoll. We just received another MassWorks grant. So we'll be finishing up Lincoln Street. So the area basically from Cashman all the way down to Bolton Street will be finished up. The sidewalks will be done over. There'll be handicap accessibility, and we'll be starting that in the spring, but we're given that award about 2 weeks ago now. So
wow.
We're excited. Thank you for the administration for sending money our way, because we always like to have more money.
Of course.
And I do want to mention
good use.
Very good use. And we talked about the mural, and I just want to mention when we were talking about Bob's bench down there, we got him down there because we were doing the announcement of the mural we had that was done during the Food Truck Festival. And the artist did us a mural, a picture of Fort Meadow, and it's actually hanging on the snack shack down at the beach. So people will get to see that if they get down there and take a walk on next spring when the beach opens. So that's down there also. Excited about that.
Now, we're filming this on Halloween.
Yep.
And this same time next week is a big day for the city. We've got a big election.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got some opinions.
I have plenty of opinions, but for some reason, I'm not as nervous about this election as I have been for the last 30 years.
Right. I wonder why.
But no, it's obviously we want to get everyone out there to vote. We have some candidates running for office, and I actually just got through watching the balance of the debate. So it's interesting to watch candidates that are running for office, bring things up that they want to get done. But, when you're sitting there, you realize those aren't things you can do from the city council. But, their hearts are in the right place. Their desires are in the right place. And a lot of people make a lot of promises to get there. People that are on the city council should know better. My guess is you should look back at some of their information from prior elections. But, you know, we have some good councilors that work really hard, and you know, there's others that, you know, you can almost tell that some work a little harder than others along the way.
Question for you is, one question that was asked was, what is something specific that you're proud of that you brought to the table, or an initiative? And is that something that city councilors are expected to do, is bring new ideas and new programs to the council?
I mean, I've worked, you know, there were initiatives that came from the council when I was down in the council. This council, maybe because we've been sending so much to them over the years, they worked with me pretty much the whole time to get things done, and put their own stamp on it also. And we've done pretty well with that. The last year, things have slowed down a little bit. I'm hoping that one of the two candidates running for mayor, they both have things that have been sitting in their committee for a while now. It's like, when they get upstairs, they better be ready to be able to juggle a couple things in the air at the same time. So I'm excited about, you know, seeing what happens, but pushing through the initiatives and molding the initiatives so we're all going in the same direction. And, you know, they've given me a lot of accolades for my time that I've been up there, but you can't do it alone. I mean, there's been mayors that have tried to do it by themselves. You can't.
You need the support.
You need the support of them,
together.
And the council and everyone else to get things done. And for the most part, you know, for the first 10 years, I had their support for a lot of things. All these things we mentioned today, they all have their stamp on it, is supporting it and getting things through. You know, I'm concerned, you mentioned the MassWorks grant and the money we just got. I'm concerned that we missed some deadlines with this MBTA community thing, that, you know, if we don't get it done, we're not eligible to apply for these types of grants anymore. I sent them down a package to Urban Affairs a few months ago. And the way I set up the zones that we're required to do is I put them in areas that qualify but don't affect additional housing units. So we were very creative in how we came up with it. We still have some consulting money that we can use for that if the council decides they want to take another look at it. But I don't know why they want to reinvent the wheel. I don't know, maybe the chairman wants to reinvent the mousetrap after that. But it's just, I wish they would just pick it up and vote on it. It's a good proposal. There's no gotchas in there. It's really picking zones that we already have some housing, so you know, it's not going to affect any new projects coming in. One of the zones is up at Royal Crest and Windsor on Hosmer Street. If they want to tear those down and build some new units, fantastic, you know. But there's already units there. The project out back here at Lincoln and Mechanic, that's in the zone. So we tried to be creative on how we did it. It's already been blessed by Boston. That's before I sent it to the city council. So there is some money still available. They called us the other day to see if we were done and we could send the rest of the money back, because we didn't want to just spend the money.
Right.
And I know one of the other issues some of the councilors talk about is the planner, hiring a city planner. We have money, we have $50,000 set aside for planning services, where the council can hire any consultant they would like to help them with the planning services for different projects. And they've chosen in many cases not to use that. But I don't see the reason to bring.
Would there be enough work for a city planner to warrant it being a full-time job?
We've had this in the past.
Okay.
And we've had planners, and there wasn't enough work, so they give them all kinds of other stuff. And then they brought in an economic development person, and there wasn't enough, so they made him a partial planner, partial economic development. And it's almost conflicting jobs. It's like the sales force and the credit department in a big company. You know, the planner wants to control everything in a development, whereas economic development just wants to bring the sales in. You know, so it takes a balance, but to have one person do both sides gets a little messy.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have these planning services, money for all the planning services available that was approved by the council. Use the money.
Sure.
You know, go out and hire, if you don't like MAPC, find someone else, or we'll find you someone else to help you with the downtown zoning or the MBTA zoning or whatever issue is before the council. The planning board has access to it. Anyone that needs planning services in city government has access to it. Use the money. You know, we don't need a full-time person that I have to worry about all the benefits. And I know Councilor Ossing has stated at the debate, you know, we don't need a full-time planner. We have the services available to us. Use them, you know. The good thing is we can hire different planners for different projects that have different expertise, as opposed to
Very
one person.
Very specific to that project.
One person is going to have a lot of general knowledge. So, no, I'm hoping after the election, council gets back to work, gets some of these issues approved and out the door.
For me too. So there could potentially be a lot of turnover, a lot of new council members, and a new mayor. What is the sort of learning curve that needs to happen to get everything moving as a machine again? Is there a City Councilor 101 class, Councilor for Dummies book that everyone can read? Or how do you become acquainted with this whole process?
Well, the catch to the whole thing is, and I've sat down with every new city councilor since I was council president and all the way through to now, because I asked them to come up to my office, and some do and some choose not to, but I keep telling them, City Council 101 is to get downstairs and bring Karen Bully lunch and just sit there and talk to her for an hour. You know, she was the one that taught me from probably day 3 or 4 when she called me up and said, are you coming to City Hall? You have a mailbox here that's full and you have a meeting Monday night. Because I knew nobody when I started. So, you know, she's a wealth of knowledge and they need to, you know, talk to them, talk to other councilors, talk to previous councilors, talk to the council president, you know, get all the information you can on things as opposed to, you know, going on and listening to Facebook freaks, you know, because they have all the answers, but most of the time they're not right.
Sure.
So, but Council 101 is learning on the job, but you have to learn quickly because your term is 2 years, you know. By the time you finish your budget, right, your first budget, you're 25% through your term. You know, so you got to learn really quick. And that means ask a lot of questions. And like I said, I've told councilors, you know, learn as much as you can, spend time with Karen and the council president. But once you make decisions on things, you can't change your mind. You know, don't make commitments you can't back up.
Right.
You know, because that's all you have over there is your word, and you know, it's a lot of fun, but you know, it's a $200 million business with 43,000 customers. You know, it's a busy place. 1,300 employees.
So we have people, you know, that might be voting for the first time here. Can you give me a little City Government 101, and what is the mayor's job versus what is the city council's job, and how do they work together? Do you get the final say? Does council get the final say?
Well, what you need to do is watch our Government 101 that we ran a couple of years ago.
Okay.
You know, but you know, I got that from Maureen Grulich, who was the superintendent of schools for a while and moved down to Indiana, and she saw their local government doing that. So we grabbed that information and ran with it, and we did it. I did it alongside Mike Ossing, but you know, it really tried to explain what each department does and what the mayor does and what the council does, which is very important, and we should have probably done it again and don't have time now. But no, so the council is a legislative body, so they do get to did checks and balances for the mayor. They change the rules. They approve the final budget. They have say over most of the hiring, the final yes or no. The executive in the city is the mayor that sends things down for the most part. There's some things they can do unilaterally, but most things have to go to the council. My appointments, almost all of the appointments, after I decide who should be on a planning board or who should be the new finance director, they go down to the city council and they go through a battery of questions for them and approve them, hopefully, or don't. And I know there's still people in personnel that haven't been approved yet for different reasons. But, and then as far as ordinances go, technically, I'm not supposed to be sending down ordinances. Most of the time when the mayor sends down an ordinance, one of the councils will jump on it and run with it from there for changes. But in the budget, I send down my portion of the budget, and the council decides what they like and don't like. They can't add to the budget in almost any circumstances. There are a couple things they can, but they can also cut the budget like they did this year. So we live with, I've always told them, cut whatever you want. Let's not make a big deal out of this. Just cut what you need to cut, and I'll deal with it. Right. Just give it back to me so I can figure out how to deal with it. You might not like what I have to do to deal with it, but then it's my decision how to do that.
Right.
So it's a give and take operation. They do have final say over a lot of things. Special permits, all these housing projects and everything. I have my input. It's their decision, you know. Some things I would have done differently. Most of the things I would have done the same, but it's their decision, not mine. I try not to interfere at all when it's solely their decision on things.
Right.
So it's, like I said, that's the legislature.
It's an interesting process.
It is.
And a very American process.
It is.
And it is the process of Marlborough.
No,
so you get involved and learn about it.
Yeah, no, and hopefully we see more involvement. I know boards and commissions, it's been very difficult to find people to get on there. We've tried to get some new blood in there. We've been successful in a lot of them. And some of them haven't lasted too long, but at least we tried to get some new people involved over the 12 years. But if you have interest in something, call the administration. We put out ads and we've done shows to try to get people involved, and send us a resume or send us an email on what you'd like to get involved in.
Even if you don't know, you'll match them up with something.
Give me your background and we'll try to get you into something. There's people that have come up that have said, I'd like to be on the Recreation Commission. And you find out they have this whole planning background. It's like, wouldn't you rather be on the planning board or the zoning board as opposed to recreation? Yeah, that'd be better. Or no, I want to go on the recreation. Okay, then we just try to match them up. But it's a big issue trying to find volunteers for anything. The organizations are going through it also. So.
Right. Last question. Are you endorsing anyone for mayor?
No, I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm going to let the people decide. I just encourage everyone to get out there, take a look at what both councilors that are running for mayor has said over the years and what they've been able to do, and have they been able to come through with those things and make their best choice on who they think should be picking up at the ball and running with it. I'm just asking the next administration to, when I took over for Nancy Stevens, I can't say she left me she left me headaches, but we always have headaches. But she left us in a really, really good spot. And I just wanted to raise the bar, a little bit more. And I think we've been able to do that. And all I'll ask the next administration to do is raise that bar just a little bit more for the city of Marlborough.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Vote next week.
That's right. Get out there and vote. And that brings us to the end of the November episode of Corner Office. I'm Ryan Maliar. Take care, and thanks for watching.